Well, hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Daily Worship. Glad that you joined us today. Let's start our days off by singing together. I was buried beneath my shame, and who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you, and I was breathing but not alive, and all my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Now your mercy has saved my soul, and now your freedom is all that I know. The old made new, Jesus, when I met you, oh, you called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, now you call me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing, now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open, 'cause when you call my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Let it be Jesus, the first name that I call. Let it be Jesus, my song inside the storm. I'll never need another. For me, Let it be Jesus. All is said and done, I'll never need another. Jesus, there's no other. For me to live is Christ. For me to live is Christ. God, I breathe your name above everything. Let it be Jesus. Let it be Jesus. Should I ever be abandoned? Should I ever be claimed? Should I ever be surrounded by the fire and the flame? There's a name I will remember. There's a name I will proclaim. And let it be Jesus. And let it be Jesus. And let it be for me. To live is Christ. And for me to live is Christ. And God, I breathe your name above everything. And let it be Jesus. And let it be Jesus. And let it be Jesus.
Let It Be Jesus. What a great song, Paul. Thank you for leading us. That song is actually pretty applicable to what I want to talk about today. More on that in a moment. But I'm really glad that you're here on this Wednesday morning. Really glad that you decided to join us for daily worship. I think this 15 minutes or so is going to prove to be a really valuable use of your time. And I'm going to talk about something that I've actually had to wrestle with a lot in my life. I mean, I guess that's true for a lot of what we talk about on daily worship. I often struggle through all of the things that I talk about. I don't think I've quite mastered much yet, but this thing I've thought a lot about. Now, earlier in my life when I was like 24, 25, and just sort of thinking about the future, having kids in the future, I often would rack my brain with it, like, am I going to be the best dad? And not just like, am I going to treat her well and all that? Like, of course I was going to do that, but just like, am I going to be able to provide the things that are going to stick with her and make her have like a comfortable life? And I literally mean things like a nice room, a nice house, nice toys, great vacations. Vacations is something I did a ton growing up, but you know, could I get to the place where I would be able to go on all of these special trips, create all these special memories for her, and give her all these things to for her to feel comfortable? And I keep saying her. I didn't know it was going to be a her at the time, but you know, I've got the benefit of hindsight. It was a her, and so. But this is what I was thinking. And I would get sort of worried about this sort of thing. Again, not that maybe I was going to be a bad dad, but was I going to live up to what a dad could be, or be able to provide the things for her that when she's later in life say, oh, I used to do all these fun things with my dad, or I used to have all of this great stuff, and it made my life so comfortable and whatever. And I know some of that sounds frivolous, which is kind of what I'm going to talk about, but this is what I would worry about, and I would think about a lot. Generally, I'm not the worrying type, but when it comes to her and my family, those are the things that kind of get me worried sometimes. So fast forward to 2018, I knew she was on the way, and in July we were going to have her. At the time, I was still kind of new to being full-time in ministry, but you know, not gonna. We believe in authenticity around here. Ministry isn't exactly a lucrative career. Don't work at a Fortune 500 company, so I was a little worried that maybe, you know, like I wouldn't be able to do these things. And with that, my wife, who is such a hard worker and worked literally until the day she gave birth, she took off, like she doesn't make a paycheck. So it was like, are we going to be able to do this? And at the time, having always worked in ministry, we hadn't really been able to save a whole lot. So I would get myself worried about this. And I would always have to come back to what we find here in Luke 12. Jesus, talking to a crowd of people as he does all the time, is addressing a question he got from a guy that said, hey, make my brother share the inheritance with me. And Jesus is like, first of all, who am I to do that? Like, who made me in charge of that? Nobody. Secondly, you're worried about something that you ought not to be. Money, finances, the things you have on your back, the clothes you have, all these things that we get so caught up over, you're worried about that. And so then he goes on what is probably one of his more famous talks about not worrying about the clothes we have, the food we have, and tomorrow. I'm not going to read all of it, but you really should. This is Luke 12. If you haven't yet, it's amazingly beautiful and it has such great imagery in it. But I'm going to focus on two verses here. And this is Luke 12, verse 25 and 26. And he's talking to the crowd. Who of you, by worrying, can add a single hour to your life? Since you cannot do this very little thing, why do you worry about the rest? And this is something that I had to keep reminding myself of as I became closer and closer to being like an official dad. That, look, it's not these things that are going to make me a great dad. It's not these things that are going to, when she's an adult and she's having kids, say, I want to be like my dad was. She's not going to hardly remember that stuff. What she is going to remember is how I interacted with her, how I hung out with her, how I tried to teach her through the way I lived. And of course, I hope that what she learns is how I was fully dependent on God for all the stuff that we have or could have. And I think that's the lesson that this can teach us. There's so many applications for this. Maybe you're at work and you are thinking, look, if I could just get the promotion I've been waiting for, then I could finally be content in my life. Maybe you're like me and you have a kid on the way, or you have you worry about your family and saying, am I going to be able to provide the things I need so they can have a comfortable life? Maybe that's what worries you. And these worries are valid, but they shouldn't be our focus, is what Jesus says. Because that stuff, the necessary stuff, the stuff that the flowers of the field don't have to worry about, the things the ravens don't have to worry about, if they don't have to worry about it, how much more does God love us? We don't have to worry about it. And that's my hope. Whether you are struggling with this right now or not, you probably will one day or have come out of that season. And I hope that today and this week and this month and really the rest of our lives, we can say, God, I don't necessarily know where some of these things are going to come from, but I know you love me. I know you care for me. And if I'll just follow you, as he says earlier in Luke 12, if I'm more concerned with being rich toward God instead of just rich in general, then I know you'll take care of me. And so I hope that's encouraging for you today, because it was really helpful for me in that time of my life. And I think it can be helpful in yours too. And to that end, I'd like to pray with you now. God, thank you that even when we don't know where the things we need are going to come from, or the things that we feel like we need to have in order to have a content, full life, Lord, even when we don't know how this is going to happen, God, you assure us that you and our Father in heaven see our needs and know them and will help us to meet them. It just requires our dependence on you, our devotion to you, and our steadfast trust that you're going to make it happen. God, some of us are probably in a season where we do feel that way, and it hasn't happened yet, God. Would you encourage us to hold on? Give us the strength to persevere. And Lord, know that you do meet our needs. It might not look exactly how we want them to or how we expect them to, but you always do. Thank you for the gift of this life and the gift of being here today to experience a new one. God, we love you. We trust you. It's in your name. Amen. Thank you so much for being here today. We will see you again tomorrow, 7:30. See you then.